Whoa, look at that light up there. I'm going to have to stay for... Oh, what?
Yeah.
Michael?
Hey, buddy.
Mikey? Mikey?
Jess?
What are you talking into? Do you have a pack of crackers?
Yeah, it's Captain Wafers.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, what's up?
Nothing, just
welcome to my
hanging out in the garage. So, hey, Mike.
Welcome to the garage. This is the first time I've recorded a podcast where the names are 100% identical. So How are we going to differentiate ourselves? What can
you be Big Mike? I could be Little Mike.
Oh, but we're about the same size physically.
But you have a bigger number in age.
Wow.
I just wanted it to be easy for the listeners so they could distinguish.
Oh, I do have a bigger number. That means I have more wisdom.
We just can't do Eminem because that's my wife and I's. Oh, that's our lingo. That's our name.
True.
That's our wedding hashtag. So I can't do Eminem.
I thought it was Boo and Bay.
No, it's not Boo and Bay.
All right. Well,
but yeah. So
Michael, Mikey,
anything
Miguel,
anything but Michael
Paulino.
That's fine.
Coming at us from, well, we are in the exact same location for the first time. I didn't want to do it.
Incredible.
You talked me into this.
I just want to push people to be the best that they can be.
I don't know if this is.
No, this is definitely it.
I don't know if this is.
This place
the
is. This place is
anything.
This is a vibe, dude. Look, we've got.
It is a vibe.
So much amazing vintage
goodness.
There's a hacksaw in front of me.
There's a hacksaw. We're out in the garage.
If I mess up, there's a hacksaw.
Including the vintage toy museum behind me.
Yeah.
With R2-D2 and all. Okay. Anyway, we are in Huntersville, North Carolina, just 10 minutes north of the Queen City. Good old Charlotte. Named after Queen Charlotte.
Yes.
And how much history do you know about where you live, Mikey?
Yeah, I'm nodding my head, like agreeing with you.
Do you know the original name for Huntersville? Before it was called Huntersville? Which was like 120 years ago, it became known as Huntersville. But before that, it had a different name.
I didn't know. I had no idea. What was it called?
Yeah, it was called Craig's Head. You're welcome.
Okay.
That was the name of this area.
Man. Okay.
Before it was Huntersville. So
Craigslist. Okay.
Craig's Head.
All right.
And there you go.
Mm-hmm. I learned something new today. That was really good.
It's a little warm in here, but that's okay.
I can believe.
Probably just the love between us.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have been associated together. We were introduced by Megan's coworker.
Yeah, Megan's coworker,
Demetrius.
Jess.
Or Demetrius's.
Jess was a friend of D. Yeah, because I met D on a boat.
Oh wow. Okay.
That just sounds like such a cool sentence. Like I met D on a boat.
It does sound good.
Like what's good. So I met D on a boat through like an event. I think Jess and her husband were, like renewing their vows. It was really cool. The first time I'd ever been on like a boat like that too. So, but yeah, D and I connected.
Like a tugboat.
It was like it was like just a rowboat.
Oh.
They were renewing their vows, so they invited me to like row the whole time.
That's good.
So they were like, "Come enjoy it," but that meant work. So
good.
It was cool. It was like a little yacht. I've never been on one of those before, and they were talking about this guy D, and they connected me and him, and I mean, like small world. But then D was friends with you, and then I was able to come into Lake Forest and just hang and meet you and do some music. Yeah, it was good. It was organic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, this guy does hip hop," or maybe he said, "Like this guy's a rapper," and I was like, "Oh no." Because I immediately, when anyone says that,
you're expecting it to just
the same as like if someone says, "Oh, this is my buddy, he's in a metal band," which I'm always like, please let it be good. Please let it be good.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be bad because then it makes me sad when it's bad.
And then you found out that I was terrible. So
I found out that you were very, very talented. I was pleasantly surprised.
Thank you. Means a lot.
And encouraged because I was like, oh my gosh, I just love when people create quality things in this life. When someone's a really good illustrator, a really good writer, a really good speaker, a really good parent, or whatever. It's always so inspiring and so encouraging because I like to associate myself with people that are good at stuff.
I like that. Yeah.
Because then it rubs off on me.
Right.
I remember growing up a skater. And when I would skate with people that were worse than me, well, it feels really good at first because
yeah, that's true.
they're like, "Whoa, you did a kickflip?
Yeah.
Whoa, you can do that? Whoa, you can do that?" And then you feel like your ego gets kind of inflated, and you're like,
So
"Wow, I'm pretty good." But when you skate with people that are better than you, just like if you shared a stage with people that are better than you,
right? Absolutely.
It makes you better.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think pushing each other is huge, and yeah, and they also say there's a saying that it says you're pretty much you are who you surround yourself with, right? So there's this, I forgot who it was, but it was this book he wrote. He made a statement where he basically you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's
I've only said that 615,000 times in my life.
Maybe you were the one that I heard it from originally,
including in like
who knows
500 keynotes.
Yeah. That's true.
Including last Friday when I was speaking with those 3 former pro athletes.
Yeah, how was that? Tell me about it.
Fascinating. It was one of the most honestly interesting, and humbling things because we went to 7 different high schools and spoke to like 1,500, 2,000 kids total over the course of 3 days. But it was me, a former NBA player, a former NFL player, and then a former Major League Baseball player. And then me, who is not a former player.
Former professional
sports.
basket weaver.
Yeah. So I was a pretty good lacrosse player in high school, and then I've always been a skateboarder.
Yeah.
But we would be introduced, and there was even a write-up in the paper the next day about these assemblies. And it's like, former pro athletes come and inspire students. And I was like, how do I fit in this? And the lady just called me today and left a message and said, we want you to come for 2 more at the end of the month.
Dude, let's go. So that's awesome.
I'm going to keep, I know I'm good. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not a former pro athlete, but I'm the only person on this list that's a professional speaker.
Absolutely.
So I've done 700 keynotes, these, like all over the world. And so I had to like pat myself on the back, encourage myself because it was feeling weird.
Yeah.
And then afterward, guess who all the kids bum rushed? Not me.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, can I get a picture? Can I get an autograph?
Right.
Not with me.
Yeah.
Except for like a couple randos. But it was actually pretty amazing just listening to the stories of these guys who played at the top of their game and all had very different paths to get there and the things that they battled. Yeah. One of the most fascinating was a guy named Tony Womack who played 16 seasons Major Leagues.
I know Tony. Yeah.
Has never touched a drop of alcohol in his life.
Wow.
Yeah.
His whole life.
Yeah. And even when I was speaking, and that's kind of our big point of doing these assemblies was making good choices and not being an idiot when it comes to alcohol and substance abuse. But I looked over at him when I had my turn with the microphone and he had already shared his story with the kids. And I was like, Tony, was it easy to avoid alcohol that whole time? And he was shaking his head, no. I was like, exactly. And I said, were you ever around it? He said, all the time. So that's amazing to me because he probably was around it all the time and feeling the pressure of someone saying, hey, let's crack a cold one. Hey, let's drink some champagne. Hey, and he never did. And that was pretty amazing.
That's some discipline. Did he share why?
I know.
He never even tried it?
No, he said it was legitimately a decision he made when he was young. Wow. He said, I'm not doing it. He said he set his priorities when he was young. He set his priorities. He didn't start playing baseball until 14 years old. And he set the priorities as God, family, baseball, and everything else. And so, obviously, alcohol fell in the everything else category.
Yeah, it sounds like a guy that had his priorities in the right direction. That's good.
Yeah. Hey, Mikey. By the way, if you want to check out Mike, the other Mike, not me, Mike, but the other Mike, we'll call him Mikey at this point.
Yes.
But he actually performs under the name NXTMIKE, which is spelled NXTMIKE.
You got it.
Look him up on the Spotify or the YouTubes. Any other place you want to send people to? Apple Music?
Yeah, check me out on, I'd say LimeWire. I would say Napster, most likely.
Oh, classified section of the newspaper?
I think so, yeah. I had the columns for sure.
Oh.
You know those little ones that are in the boxes by gas stations?
Yes.
Check me out on those for
True,
sure.
True.
But no, on a serious note, yeah, NXTMIKE, pronounced next Mike. But yeah, anywhere you stream music, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, whatever, check me out. Love making music.
Add them to your workout playlist.
Yes.
That's what they should do right there.
Yeah, I feel like, you got workout music on there. You got some worship-esque music. You got some pop, some punk. You got a little bit of everything.
Yes,
I try to make a song for everybody.
Classical?
I haven't.
Pop country?
I haven't dove into. Hey, listen.
Oh,
listen.
Stop.
Listen.
Pop country.
Country music. Has this songwriting formula that has proven to be successful. Sure. I'm not saying that I'm going to give it a shot because I can't relate to anything that they're talking about, but I see the recipe and I see why it works. But no country, pop, rock, hip hop, boom bap, all that stuff. Yeah,
boom bap.
That's right.
How about the whip?
How about the yeehaw?
Okay. All right, Mikey, let's dive into your moment because that's the name of this podcast in case I forgot and you forgot, everybody forgot, because here we are, going down rabbit trails about whatever.
It's okay. I love rabbits.
The moment that you wanted to dig into involves you as a teacher, and I love that you're a teacher. That's awesome. Yeah. And let's just set up the moment for like a minute. So what was going on leading up to the moment that made the moment significant?
Yeah, so I was student teaching at UNC Charlotte, and if you guys are listening, if any of you are teachers or you've been in a classroom, which is pretty much everybody that's listening, hopefully you know and understand like how hard teachers work, but also it's just a lot of prep and time, and college is great and all that, but it doesn't teach you everything that you need to know. I think you become a good teacher by just being thrown into the field and figuring it out and being able to mesh with people and adults and all that stuff. So I'm trying to speak. I'm trying to give them insight. This is about to be my podcast.
That was a rookie move.
Unbelievable.
Keep going.
Unbelievable. No. So what I was getting at was with that being student teaching being just an unfamiliar territory and a new thing for me. Leading up to it, I was pretty nervous. I was a little frightened. I was a little just scared of what was to come because I knew growing up I wanted to go into education of some sort. And the moment was here, and I was questioning myself like, is this what I'm supposed to do? Is this like the right plan that was laid out for me? And I had to overcome just a lot of self-doubt and things of that nature. So that's kind of the background. So
you're how old at this time? Like
this time I'm 20. No, I was about to start student teaching at like 20 years old. Wow. So I was 20. Okay. So this was like 9-10 years ago. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's kind of leading up to it. It was just really, really tough, and I had to sit down and find some sort of like just like reassurance that everything was going to be okay. So this leads into my next part, but my faith is a huge part of my life. It's the biggest part of my life. But growing up, I was raised Catholic. So I always had kind of knowledge of God, but I didn't really know who God was and have a relationship with him, all that stuff. And then when I gave my life to Christ in college, I had started student teaching right after. So now I've got this new way of thinking, and now I know that I've got God, I've got this source of hope that I can go to whenever I'm, not feeling confident or feeling like I can't do something. So, if I can you want me to get into the moment?
I want to know what kind of student you were.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So when you were student teaching, when you were student teaching, what age was this?
Yeah, so I was student teaching at 20.
As far as the moment goes. Yeah. Like, what age were the kids?
Yeah, so the kids were in 4th grade. I was teaching 4th grade curriculum. So math, science, social studies.
Okay, and so go back to 4th grade. What kind of kid were you?
I was in 4th grade. I was in a private school.
Would you have wanted you in the class when you were student teaching? You as a 4th grader?
Honestly, yeah, I think so.
I would not have wanted me in the class.
You don't know?
I was a freaking mess.
Dude.
I was a terror. I was a nightmare.
Were you?
And I got kicked out all the time.
That's crazy. It's hard
to see. I couldn't stay still. I couldn't stop making people laugh. I couldn't concentrate.
Yeah, I feel like it's tough for me to not be biased because now I've been a teacher for almost 10 years. So I feel like I would have said kids were a lot more to handle, but now since I've been in it, I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. Like, kid talks how to play, so is always moving around. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But back then, if I knew what I knew then, like, I would say I think I was a pretty decent student. A lot of it rooted in my parents just pushing me and wanting me to be the best that I could be. My parents were definitely strict, but it all worked out. And I feel like they instilled that from a young age. So yeah, I would have definitely wanted to be a student for sure.
You would have wanted you in class.
I would have wanted to, like, if I was teaching and I had, old Mike previous, if I had previous Mike, then yeah, I think I would have enjoyed it. Yeah.
Got you. All right. Yeah. I would not have wanted me in class. No.
Man, old Mike is
not get anything done.
That's crazy.
Okay, so the moment comes. How long had you been student teaching at this point when the moment occurred?
So I was in my full year-long internship. I had been doing student teaching, like, days and segments since freshman year.
Okay.
But this was my year-long, so this is like where I was thrown in, and I had to, take on a subject each week, and then eventually I would take on everything, full-time duties for like over a month, and then I would release little by little. So at this point, I think it was in like October. So I started, and then, starting in October at my year-long school, I had started taking on responsibilities, and it was starting to become, it was a lot. And I had a lot of late nights where I was just kind of up, talking to my parents and my friends, and I was like, man, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, this is a lot to handle.
What was hard for you? Like, what part of it wasn't like...
Yeah, that's a good question.
What part was sucking life out of you and not giving life to you?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I'm so grateful for my education. I think I had 4 years of a great education, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. But I truly believe that the teaching profession is a field where your degree is not necessarily going to make you a really good teacher. I feel like it's a field where you need to be thrown into, and you're only going to grow when you honestly are in it and you mess up a lot. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that was tough because while I was student teaching, I was expecting to take everything from my classes, and I was wanting it to translate like so easily and smoothly into the classroom. And that's just not how it was. Like, it just wasn't. I was thinking about the pedagogy and the teaching styles and the classroom management and all these books and papers I had wrote and read, and just it wasn't adding up. So flashing forward, I was kind of at a wall, at a standstill with,
Did you almost tap out? Or you weren't to that point of almost tapping out?
I've never really shared this with anybody. But there was a time my senior year where I thought about like switching majors last minute. I'm beyond grateful that I didn't, because I know I'm where I need to be. But no, there was a moment where I had contemplated a good bit. But luckily, I mean, I was pulled out of it. So I'm really grateful for that.
So here's the moment. So you're in class one day, or where did this moment go down?
I was in my apartment. I was just chilling on my futon.
And this is pre Megs in your life?
No, Megs and I are together at this point.
Okay.
Yeah,
dating?
We started dating. Yep, just dating.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, this was dating Megs, and I'd also want to add that this was 3 months after I became a Christian and gave my life to Christ. And I feel like that's what made this moment even happen in the first place. Exactly what made it possible. So I was staring at my wall, and I was by myself, and I was just having a talk with God. So I was just like, hey God, I need you to give me something that's going to let me know that this is where I need to be, that I'm supposed to be a teacher, that this is your plan for me, and that I'm cut out and able to do this, right? That I'm competent enough. And I was just, through that, he led me to scripture, and he led me to the book of Matthew, one of the gospels. And it was Matthew chapter 6. And it started in verse 25, and it was 25 through 34. And it was a passage that spoke about, it said, look at the birds in the air, look at the lilies in the field. It was talking about, they neither, weep or sow, and God provides all of their necessities, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it got me thinking, and the verse finished with, if God is, of course I'm paraphrasing, but
right.
It's saying, if God cares so much about these things, then what makes you think that he won't care about you, like his greatest creation, his biggest joy?
Yeah, even more.
Exactly. So I sat back, and I'm a literal person, so I sat back and I thought about it. And I just imagined myself like in the car driving down the highway, and you're driving down 77 and all you see is just trees, right? You see trees, you see grass on the median, on the sides. And I'm thinking to myself, and I'm like, no one's out here tending to these trees. No one's out here trimming the bushes or watering the trees in the sky. No one's out here. I mean, there's people that cut the grass on the medians, but it is growing because the Lord is providing water, sunlight, nutrients, minerals, all this stuff. Soil, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's talking about the birds in the air, right? And I'm looking and I'm like, how many times do we see birds and pigeons and whatever, all these animals just fly by us, and we don't even think twice about it. We're like, they're alive, but I don't know about you, but have you ever seen somebody out there just like feeding the wild birds, like giving them everything that they need?
Yeah, it's not often. It's just people have bird feeders in their backyards.
Exactly.
Stuff,
and not everyone has that. But you're right. It's so minimal. So
go to a remote area and there's still birds.
Exactly.
Like, oh, well, where do they get their food?
And that's what I'm saying.
And there's still trees.
Yes.
And so there's no gardener out there.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like,
arborist.
Yes, the ultimate arborist. God is the ultimate arborist.
Yeah.
No, but I'm sitting there and I'm like, there's birds in the air, there's lilies in the field, and all these animals and everything, and no one's out here tending to them. And yet God is providing all of their needs. And how little of, a faith must I have to not think that God is going to continue to provide for me and take care of me and give me everything that I need. Not everything that I want necessarily, but everything that I need, and he knows is good for me, right? Through the ups and downs. Mm-hmm. And there's more scripture in that passage as well that just really hits home. And he starts talking about, again, tending to everything. And he talks about not worrying and being anxious. And this is the main part that I want everybody to take away. God's talking about casting your worries and your troubles on him. But then he says, worry about today, right? For today is sufficient, for tomorrow has its own challenges, right? And also nothing's guaranteed either. Like, so when I thought about that, I was like, the Bible is telling me God is providing everything that I need. Mm-hmm. We are his ultimate priority. He chose us to have a relationship with. And he's saying, I got you today. Tomorrow's going to, it's going to come. But today you have your own things that you need to worry about. But I'm here to help you and provide. So why are you worried about tomorrow? And Mike, I don't know, man, but from that moment on, it's like something just clicked. And from there on out to this day, this is 9 years later, my view of stress and getting worried and anxious has been completely wiped away. I was, some of my coworkers that I work with now, they always make fun of me, and they're just like, how are you never stressed? How are you not running around? How are you this and that
how
and
are you
all
so
that?
Steady.
Steady. And so just even killed. I just don't, I don't know. I just don't stress out. And I tell them, just through some interactions with people have reinforced that in my life. But I'm like, honestly, it's scripture. And I give them that passage, and they're like, whether they're a believer or not, they're like, okay, I see why that brings you comfort. But ever since that day, from here on out, I've just never really been worried. I just kind of go through life, and I'm like, God's got me. I've got everything that I need. I've got a roof over my head. I've got an amazing wife. I've got a beautiful son. I've got family, friends. I've got everything that I need.
Two crazy dogs.
Yes. And I have all these things, and he's taken care of me up until this point. So if his word is true, and I know it is, then why would he not continue to do that?
Yeah.
So that's the moment that
I have an important question for you, though.
Yeah.
This is actually for real. So there's a huge market and everyone has seen these for motivational posters to put up in classrooms, to put up in businesses, buildings, wherever, and it says, just hang on another day, and there's a kitten on a branch that's trying to hold on with its claws. And it says, just hold on another day.
Yeah.
Or you see another one that shows a butterfly and says, we're all made to show our colors.
Yeah.
Do those work in similar ways? Why do people make those? Do they actually make a difference? And what would be the difference between a run-of-the-mill motivational poster and what you just talked about from the Bible?
Right.
Why are they different?
Yeah, that's a good question. So ultimately, as a Christian, I know that what he has said through his word has more weight and more value than anything else that the world could offer. Is there anything explicitly wrong with those motivational posters? No, I don't think so at all.
Do they motivate people? Legitimately, I'm wondering.
I've got one in my classroom at school that says, "Yeah, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take." And who said that? You think it's Wayne Gretzky?
Stop, but it's
actually Michael Scott. So I think they can work, but ultimately, I feel like no matter how many of those posters you see, it's going to take something. It's going to take something supernatural. I think it's going to take scripture. I think it's going to take God. You really believing it for yourself.
Yeah.
And he's going to fill that void. Because there's a bunch of things, the world will put out there, and I feel like he's the one that satisfies. But not saying they're bad. I've got some in my classroom just to hype my kids up, and I've got some comedic ones in there too. But so I don't know. But for me, ultimately, like the scripture is what changed my life. Because up to that point, I'm sure I'd seen hundreds and hundreds of those like motivational posters, and nothing was working until I read that passage in Matthew. So, but yeah. So I guess they work, but I don't think they're like the ultimate.
Yeah, it's a fascinating question. A question for another day. But I've heard people debate back and forth before of, can you find truth outside of the Bible?
Yeah.
Is it possible to find truth outside of the Bible? And it's really interesting. We're not diving into it tonight.
Yeah, that's a whole nother.
But it's really interesting.
Yeah.
And even when you say 2 + 2 = 4, well, that's a true statement, but it's not in the Bible.
This is very true. That's a good point, Mike.
Unless you're talking about Noah's Ark or
that's
something.
Because math is of the enemy. So that's why, because math was not meant to be created.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Okay, Mikey, here we go.
Yes.
We're about to come in for a landing, but I want to turn our attention back to hip hop.
Yes.
And I want to know, as far as the GOATs that you would determine are the GOAT MCs of, since the beginning, since the late 70s all the way to 2023, who are 2 or 3 in your brain that you appreciate beyond anybody else?
Yeah, that's really good.
And then I'm going to ask another question that's similar, but
I love this.
Different.
Yeah.
Who you putting
I'll
on your
just
list?
rank. I'll rank them for you.
Wow.
I've got a list, so I'll give you.
Are you going like 3 to 1?
I'll give you 3 to 1.
Good? Okay.
I'll give you 3 to 1.
I'm ready. Everyone's ready.
I'll give you 3 to 1. All right. Number 3. I'm gonna have to go with. Is maybe very controversial, but
here we go.
For what he has meant for hip hop, inventing sounds, his drive, whether you agree with everything he does or says or not, I would put Kanye at number 3.
Got you.
I think Kanye West is just pivotal from music to branding to fashion. I feel like he does it all. He's obviously a little crazy, but
off the rails these
it
days.
Is what it is.
But it is what it is.
Isn't a little crazy.
All right.
So I'd say Kanye number 3. Number 2 is an artist that a lot of people may not really know as well. I think he's potentially the greatest of this generation. If you haven't heard of him, I would go and check out John Bellion. And people are like, "Oh, he's not hip hop." Yeah. That dude gets on a mic and he spits, and his production is crazy. But for me, hip hop, I think of just so much more than just rapping. Like I think of just production, delivery, like his aesthetic,
the music, everything, the creativity.
So
pushing limits.
Yeah, but John Bellion, I think, is one of the greatest ever.
Who do we got at the top, buddy?
I would go Andre 3 Stacks. I go Andre 3000.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
I didn't see that one coming.
No, I just don't.
From Outkast.
100%.
Are we talking Bombs Over Baghdad?
I'm talking anything that he has had his name on, associated with, rapped on, written for, produced, led any type of direction. People just don't give that man his credit. And
wow. Okay. Well, then I've got some work to do.
He had some radio hits, but you just
with Outkast or without?
You got to with and without.
Did he have hits without Outkast?
I think he had more hits with Outkast.
I guess it depends on what radio you're talking about.
Right. You know? He had more hits with Outkast, but I think he's a feature king. I think anything that he just appears on is absolutely insane.
A feature king.
Yeah, I think he's a feature king. But I just think he's insane. I think he's an incredible writer.
Okay.
His voice is so unique, and he just, I mean, even when he Outkast, like if you look at all the stuff he did, 90s, 2000s, even his music videos, nobody was doing what he was doing.
Right.
And like I said, I just don't think he gets enough love. So I go 3, I go Kanye. 2, I go John Bellion. Okay. And I go 1, I go 3 Stacks.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what I'm going to ask. And you are not prepared for this, and I don't even care. But I need 30 seconds to a minute of NXTMIKE original content.
Oh my gosh.
Not freestyle. I mean, it can be stuff that's already pre-written. You know, you don't have to freestyle. But I just need a little something. The people need a little something.
Dude, on the spot? Okay.
We need a little something.
All right. I got some stuff. Okay.
Do you want me to beatbox?
We want it to sound good, or what's up? No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Go ahead.
All right. I've been working on a little stuff for my next project. I'll give you a verse. Okay. Here we go. It's mind over matter, but as long as the matter is inconsistent, a selfish ambition, the problem never surfaced. Behind the curtains, it kind of feel like a tub liner, all pretty and polished on the top half, but on the bottom, you're dirty and wicked and leaking sin like a spigot. I don't need a sedative. I'm eternally relevant. Perpetual blessings, they falling down and they haven't sent. Got a crib of pearly gates, swear that I don't need the rain. Hold up. I got the blood in the cup. I prefer that over soda. Godson, Spirit, Speed Dial, Motorola. I've been soul surfing. Hope I don't end in Pagoda. I've been soul searching down in Pensacola. Destination to revelation is super near, huh? 2020 was unclear, ironically, huh? Notoriety and anxiety got the best of me, but none of y'all can relate while you sitting there just sipping tea. Boom. There you go. Unreleased NXTMIKE.
Slow clap.
Yes.
Dang, boy.
I know. That's it.
That is it.
Dude.
Y'all.
I had such a good time.
This has been Mike and Mike coming at you. Are we going to start our own podcast?
I was going to say we have to build it out and then use this clip as the bits. But we'll just run it out of our garage. Every time you log on for our podcast, one more just absolutely ridiculous thing will be in the background.
Probably.
And you're going to have to just find it. And then we'll do a giveaway.
Yeah, like an off-center Panthers
Dude,
shirt. Okay.
Can we show the...
Let's show the people.
Let's show the people. I'm so upset because this is such a grail. If you guys don't know, I buy and resell vintage as well. Mike does too. But this is
toys, you do clothes.
This is true. This is a 97 like center chest print pro player tag. Like this is crazy. And look how off-centered the print is. Like, let me give you the spacing to the seat.
Look right now.
Look at this. Look at it. My tag is in the middle. What in the world? Look at this, bro.
What a crime.
Look at that space.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then look at, like, come on.
It's like buying a used car, but there's one wheel that's in the middle.
Oh, my God.
You're like, why is it in... Come on, people.
Like, oh, dude. But it's such a hit, but it's okay.
It is okay.
Maybe you should wear this for your next one.
I'm going to.
Just be like, sometimes life gets you off balance.
I'm going to wear it on a date.
Hi, I'm Mike Hall.
Yep. All right. Mikey, thanks for being on. Make sure you check out NXTMIKE, NXTMIKE, all over the musical world, wherever you find music. NXTMIKE. New projects coming soon, which is awesome.
Lots of music, yeah. Stay tuned.
And I don't even know when this episode's dropping, so there could be stuff already at your fingertips. But Mike, thanks for being on. Appreciate you very much.
Yes.
Laters.
Bye.